Hercules in 3D. A life-altering injury didn't slow down The Rock, who elected to make this movie rather than receive surgeries to repair a hernia he had received in a wrestling match just prior to filming. He feared the movie would end up getting shelved if it got delayed for the year that the treatment would have demanded. In hindsight, he may have been right. Another film, The Legend of Hercules, had already started production at the time of the match and was released early the next year, long before that year would have been up. It failed at the box office and may have given the impression that 2014 wasn't the right time for Hercules. Now, this is a very different experience than Legend, so much so I'd say it's a disservice to the enjoyment of either movie to compare them. However, the two approaches to Hercules are so far apart that comparisons feel like a natural response. Legend, as its name implies, celebrates the myth. Hercules, however, belittles myth and goes for a more, shall we say, secular perspective. Both directors state that they shot their films with 3D in mind. Legend was natively shot. Hercules was a 3D conversion. They both look great. What I did notice is the actors in Legend tended to blend in with the frame, where in Hercules I had more of a feeling of the actors popping out, not in the out-of-the-screen wow 3D sense, but rather what I sensed was a clear delineation between foreground and background. Here, for example, notice in the original 2D that the actors may be in front of the army, but they still feel that they are a part of the army. Rather, in 3D, the same shot, they feel distant from the background. And this creates a sense of a private space between our primary actors, and the army becomes something like a curtain behind them. Is it a bad thing? Not in this movie. Our heroes are a private society, and their general outcast status is central to the story. So really, the 3D improves on the cinematography to create this sense of isolation. There are also moments that take advantage of the flexibility of conversion, like this pose with the spear, where the tip is exaggerated in stereo and pokes out of the screen. The spear would have had to be perhaps a bit longer, or maybe a wider focal length used to get a similar shot with a real 3D camera. Notice how little disparity there is in the faces of Dwayne Johnson and his co-star. Conversion allows the background to be a canvas to what pops out, in this case the spear tip. If the background were wider and more realistic, this might be hard on the eyes. Although it's a good conversion, I feel this actually might have been a perfect movie to film in stereo. Much of this movie made use of practical effects. CGI was reserved for arrows, distant mountains, and the odd hydra. Wars were staged. Castles were actually built. Mock trees were blown up. Although they did a good conversion job, I can't help but wonder how much richer of a starfield of dust and debris we might have gotten in real 3D. Why not film in 3D and do conversions on problem shots? I believe Avatar did that. One of the drawbacks of being a 3D aficionado is it's always the theatrical version of the movie that's in stereo. I thought I'd do something a bit different and take a look at what I might be missing out on. Hercules has a curiously titled extended cut that actually isn't significantly longer. What it really appears to be is an unrated cut with blood splats and the odd sword wound that's been taken out. Now, some of this blood doesn't seem to be very sophisticated CGI, so I wonder if a lot of this was never really meant to be seen and added to provide something to negotiate with for their theatrical rating. Aside from a few bloody cutscenes, the few minutes of cut dialogue seem to concern exposition for Hercules' backstory. And I think I agree with it being cut. It was anti-hero material that didn't really connect to present-day activities that we were following, and the shot of the spilled cup made it obvious that Herc was framed, which made him more sympathetic. More interesting to me was this one scene where they used a different take at the very end. In the one where they included all the dark backstory stuff, the extended cut, it ends with him looking serious and stern.
That, my lady, is the truth.
In the theatrical version, where they cut out all the conversation about that dark backstory, and it's just about them talking about all the tall tales they make up about Hercules, it ends with a take of him looking relaxed and even a little bit humored at it all.
My lady is the truth.
Now, I wonder if this was done on purpose, or did they just do a bunch of takes and it was a happy accident that the suitable alternate was available? Now, apparently it was Dwayne Johnson's lifelong dream to play Hercules. I wonder if that was true, or just something he said to try and get another film off the ground. Why be cynical about it? That nasty hernia left him with a slight limp from not getting the corrective surgery before it scarred over. And the result? Well, we get a fun movie that deserves to be seen. It's based on a comic book series called Hercules, the Thracian Wars. Is that Thracian or Thracian? I don't know. There is, however, a second comic series that details a later adventure that has Hercules team with or not team with, but rather encounter a death cult in Egypt that would make for an excellent sequel, kind of a cross between Hercules and the Mummy. Let's hope someone out there is pitching it. We can't let Dwayne's dream fade out just yet.